Welcome back to the Super Not Funny Show Reviews. And today I'm reviewing Reservation Dogs Season 3, Episode 9, the penultimate episode of the series and the season. It's entitled Elora's Dad and is coming to you from FX on Hulu. So, what did I think about it, and should you be watching? And before we get into the review, get down there, hit like on this video. Well, I can't believe it. We're almost at the end of this road, and we got to take a brief detour. I don't even want to call it a detour, a pit stop, to deal with an issue that was sort of telegraphed earlier in the season with Elora finding out that her dad was a white guy and she getting her birth certificate and realizing that, oh, this guy is out there. And it seemed like maybe they were just going to park that car somewhere else and not worry so much about it. But it turns out that actually Elora needs to know who her dad is and get some info from him because, you know, she wants to go to college and she doesn't have money in her back pocket just to pay for it. So she wants financial aid. And the only way she can get it is if her one surviving parent, if they get some information for him for financial aid. So that leads her to, needing to track him down, basically. And I love at the beginning of this episode, it's the Res Dogs being silly, but also kind of just being there for their homie. You know, she's going to go do something big, so they're going to go all hang out. As they said, if one of us goes to college, we all go to college. And which was fun, and I like that they supported her. But also it was a little, I don't know, I don't want to call it distressing, but I guess it's a little weird that everyone else is like, college? What's that? We're definitely not going to be doing that. Who does that even? And I just, it maybe speaks to, you know, the reality of a situation of people who don't see that as their future. Like it's not even a question. And Elora wanting to go with, everyone's like, oh, cool, that's great. But no one's pushing the other kids to go also. Which isn't to say you have to go. It's just, it's interesting to me that the other members of the Reservation Dogs aren't necessarily looking at that as their path forward. That being said, Elora is, you know, she's reluctant, for obvious reasons, to go track down this guy who she didn't even know existed, much less was, never in her life or anything like that. So what she proceeds to do is to be the worst private eye in the history of private eyes. She, borrows, I think she borrows Bear's mom's car, and then she's just kind of following him around. And we find out that her dad, whose name is Rick, and is played by Ethan Hawke, which was what a get. Like that guy, he's a consummate professional. If he shows up in something, he shows up in something. And, somehow being a perfect casting for this particular role. And I was just like, wow, I can't believe. And also it's awesome that you guys could just get an actor of that caliber to really come in here. And, I also that, Devery Jacobs, she's been acting for a while, but, her star is rising. And to see her act against just a stellar performer like that and more than hold her own just was really nice to see. But either way, we see her sort of stalking him with the car and following him, and basically, he's driving his pickup truck and lighting up his little J, and then realizes he's getting followed. So he eventually pulls into a gas station and confronts her. And she's just like, oh, doesn't really want to look at him. And it becomes clear why, because as soon as Rick gets a look at her, he knows who she is, because apparently she looks a lot like her mom. And so he knows, as soon as he realizes, oh, this is who this is, my daughter that I've never spoken to. He's like, well, let's go sit down and, go into this restaurant and, we'll eat breakfast and talk. And what proceeds is kind of an awkward meeting for the first time between a parent and a child. And there's a lot of, questions. I'm sure these aren't vocalized, obviously, but you can see on the face of Elora and on the face of Rick questions and anxieties and just wondering about how to make this work. How do you talk to a stranger who you're suddenly connected to? And you also, I think you can see this is just all in just the acting, the body language, and facial, the facial acting, is that Elora doesn't want to be there, but needs him, but doesn't want to need him. And she most definitely doesn't want to have a connection with this guy because she's like, he's never been here before. He should be nothing to me. And yet there's a need for this man to be more important than she is in her life at the moment. And probably some resentment and some anger that she is, trying to stifle in the interest of getting business done. All that's going on, and Rick is on the other end, is flustered but also knowing what he wants to do, things he wanted to say, trying to make it less awkward, trying to make that connection, and probably I'd say, feeling like he's fumbling the whole deal, and feeling like he needs to explain himself, and feeling like, nothing he says is going to be okay, but that if he just says the right thing, maybe he can make that connection. And it's wonderfully awkward and pulls at your heartstrings, especially if you are from a background similar to this, or if you know people like that, or if, maybe you're on one end or the other of this particular sort of situation. It's a very tough situation for them to be in. And just trying to navigate it, where Elora's essentially just like, I don't want anything from you. I just need this info so I can go to college. And, he's like, oh, well, that's cool. Like, good, as if he wants to feel proud, but he feels weird about feeling proud about Elora wanting to do that. And then wanting to have a conversation and she not wanting to have it just because, she's decided to close herself off from it. And it all just kind of ends in a business-like thing, except that, thank God, Rick just can't let that be the end of it. This child of his that he's had nothing to do with until this point. And he gets Elora to come over to his place, though he can give her something in particular. And she gets to see, the world that Rick inhabits now, where he's a father with 3 kids and, he's responsible and everything like that. And again, a bit of the wonder and resentment and maybe wistfulness about not being part of that family, not being part of what's clearly a working family now, not having that dad. And it made me think of the movie Rocket Man, where, Elton John, he's the son that his dad didn't want, versus later on he has a younger family, and they are the kids that he wants, and he's an actual dad too. And so you can sort of see Elora, walking around and looking at the different artifacts of a family life, and just wishing, but also hating that she wishes that maybe had been her, or that she had been included, that this was a family that she should be a part of, and that she wishes she didn't feel like she wanted to be a part of. And just sort of having these feelings for Rick. And when Rick comes back, he has this time to actually try to explain himself. And I like the fact that there was 2 warring things going on with Rick, where he wants to justify himself, but realizes there's no justification. So every time he tries to justify himself, he also has to, self-recrimination, and to be like, no, that's no excuse. No, that wasn't okay. That wasn't right. And sometimes even, having to have Elora really ask him, or have pointed questions, or say pointed things about why it wasn't okay for him to not be a part of her life. And to see Rick be aware enough of himself to know, hey, that sucked. Every time I want to justify myself. I can't do it. And I think that honesty and just kind of insisting like, hey, let's try to have some kind of connection. Just come meet you. Like he at some point he's just like, come meet your brothers and sisters, and come just walk down there and we'll just hang out, or just do that for me. And that bridge that that he's trying to build, she reluctantly becomes a part of the building of that bridge also. And I knew it was game over as soon as she met her siblings. I knew it was going to be game over. But I liked how she was like, well, you can just introduce me as like a friend or a neighbor or something like that. And Rick was like, nope, here's your sister, a sister that you don't know. Here she is. And, her name's Elora, and, we're going to walk to, back to the house, and, maybe does she want to go? It's pizza night. She want to come out. And then she does end up, because she can't say no to the kids. Why would she? And she ends up going and having pizza with with this newfound family of hers. And I feel like it didn't say it in so many words, because Elora, she doesn't spend a lot of time explaining her feelings or anything, but you could see the longing of connection with these people that she didn't even know existed earlier in the day. That yes, she can still be angry at Rick and everything like that, but there's a potential for a real relationship with that family, and that she's glad, especially when that final hug that they have, she's glad that there's something there that she can start from, if she's willing, if he is willing, if they are willing to try to, rebuild this, this family of sorts. And let me just say, not just was this just a beautiful episode. This, it had me cry twice. I had to. Some of this stuff hits a little close to home, but it's also just like the realness of this whole situation of two people just sort of trying to figure out how to be, close when there's no reason other than blood that connects them. And, Rick giving her that picture, that was huge. That all of that stuff, just seeing the two of them act against each other, it just it kind of sealed the deal for me. It's just knowing that after that hug, I was like, she knows that maybe it goes nowhere, but she definitely feels like there's a start here somewhere. And just overall, I really love this episode. Big ups to Devery Jacobs for writing this episode. She just nailed all of the voices in this episode. Big ups to her for her acting in this. And of course, Ethan Hawke, he just did his thing. So overall, I think it was great. Great, next to last episode of the series. And I can't wait for the finale this week. So anyway, what did you guys think about this episode? What did you think about what I had to say? Get down to the comment section, leave your thoughts there. And of course, you can always hit me up, supernotfunnyshow@gmail.com or at supernotfunnys1 on Twitter. And while you're down there, do me a favor, hit like on this video, subscribe to the channel, and hit that notification bell. All that good stuff helps to grow this channel, helps more people to see these reviews. All right, thanks for joining me. Come back next week. We're going to be doing the review of the season finale of Reservation Dogs. I can't believe it. The series finale, in fact. It's all coming to a head. I can't wait to see it. Can't wait to let you guys know what I think about it. And also check out the channel for we got a special collaboration with Maggie J Reviews. We're going to be talking about this entire series. We're going to just do a long form discussion between fans of Reservation Dogs, talking about what this show means to us and just kind of celebrating what it is. So you guys check all of that out on the channel later this week. All right. Thanks for joining me. I've been Mo, your commentator extraordinaire on all things pop culture, and I'll see you guys on the other side of the thread. Peace.